Hi, I'm Jo Drummond, FAR's Senior Researcher for Cereals, and welcome to FAR's Chertsey Arable site on a typical spring day. Plenty of wind and really cold. Now that it's springtime, we'll be thinking about our key management decisions in our autumn sown cereals. So today we're going to focus on fungicides, and the purpose of a fungicide program is to manage disease, maintain our yield, incorporate resistance management to protect the products we use, and most importantly, it needs to make us money. So how are we going to plan for a fungicide program when we can't see what the weather's going to throw at us? First of all, we need to focus in on the leaves that are going to make us the most money and focus on protecting them first and building our program around it. So thinking about what we're going to do at growth stage 39, so T2, and then building our program around that. So with our T2, our flag leaf timing being our most economically important, that's where we're going to put the bulk of our spend. So that's where we're going to see combinations of SDHI, so our group 7, and our triazole put together in a mixture. We then need to reverse engineer what we're doing and think about what we're doing at the start of the season. So if we think back to T1, so our growth stage 32, that also needs a bit of love because that's the second most important growth stage for our fungicide timings. And again, that's going to require combinations of mode of actions, and it's going to often be based on a triazole with another triazole stacked together with a different cross-resistance pathway or potentially a multi-site. So growth stage 32, or the T1 timing, coincides with the emergence of the first of our important yield money leaves. The question is, do I need to start any earlier? So decisions around whether to use a T0 usually happen pretty early in the spring, and the decision whether or not to apply depends on a number of different factors. FAR's done a lot of research in this space, and the financial return on a T0 has been hit and miss over the years, and it depends entirely on where you are. If you are in a really high pressure scenario, it might give you a return maybe 1 year in 5, but the further south you go into places like South Canterbury, the return on investment on that early fungicide hasn't really stacked up since about 2013. In Southland and South Otago, we're seeing a response to a T0 around 9% of the time. Now, the Septoria story requires a very, very early sowing window and very, very high pressure coming out of the winter and a very susceptible cultivar, because at this time of year, cultivar resistance is going to be doing a bit of that heavy lifting for you. And it's important that we protect our cultivars just as much as we protect our chemistry. Now that we've established what we need to do through stem extension and spending the bulk of our money at that T2 timing, so our most economically important leaf, what are we going to do to get us through to the end of the season? Our T3 timing coincides with final head emergence and the start of flowering. And this is important to protect against head diseases and also to get us through to the end of the season. By the time we reach T3, we'll have a better idea of how the season has panned out and what we might need to do to get to the end of the season. Often this fungicide timing is a triazole and a strobilurin. We might be trying to cover off leaf rusts, or it might be trying to cover off fusarium head blight and other ear diseases, which need to be at the early part of that window. Recent seasons have seen some wet conditions through the late grain fill and harvest, and we've seen a resurgence in interest in a T4 fungicide timing. So this is post-flowering, so about growth stage 69 through to about 71. Our research has indicated that this application generally doesn't pay its way and generally doesn't provide any yield increase over that T3 application. To summarise, spend your money on those money leaves. So focusing really on that T2 timing, followed by the T1 timing, and getting those both as robust as you can. In third place, our T3 timing to get us through to the end of the season, and really looking at those shoulder timings, T0 and T4, whether they're going to make you any money, and make your decision based on the likelihood of return on investment. And our FAR data suggests that that's pretty slim.